at Lanes Raceway. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. Please stay tuned as we can see our cars here for Wyatt, Carson, Jackson, and Weston are lining up to get ready to go to race. They've all been biting at the bit to get done and get going racing here. We got a blue and green LED kind of thing going on for the guys represent for the Little Rumble. They're all excited. We're going to go out there and talk to them just for a second, and then we're going to get this race underway.
All right, guys. What are we expecting? Who's going to bring home the victory?
I don't know. I'm scared.
These guys are really not as excited as I thought they was. I thought they were all going to say me, but I guess not. All right. Well, it looks like Jackson, you didn't get the red lane today. A little bit discouraged starting out on green. Weston hadn't been here in about a week or so. How do you feel like you're going to fare against these guys, Carson and Jackson? They've been here an extra week, getting a little more practice.
Good.
Good? All right. What about you, Wyatt?
Amazing. So amazing.
What?
Amazing.
All right, cool. Well, guys, I'm going to go back in there in the booth, and we're going to get this thing started. Just listen for Watch Your Lights.
All right, everybody. Here we go. All right, racers, watch your lights. So I know Jackson, he's been biting at the bit. He's been ready and excited all week long. Gave us a couple calls here earlier this week. But he is not starting in the lane he wants to start in. He says he didn't really want to start in green. He's worried his car wasn't going to be fast. A lot of worries coming from Jackson. I told him to be a little bit scared is kind of a good thing. Keeps you from making mistakes, keeps you sharp. But at the same time, you shouldn't be too fearful in running these stock cars. After all, it's just a little hobby sport that we do here at Lanes Raceway. A little bit of a tug there that took place there from Carson. Carson giving Wyatt the boot there to the outside edge there. Right now, Carson's in the lead with 12 laps total. See Jackson there, biding his time, trying to pass on the outside of Weston. Weston getting passed by Jackson, but Weston back in pretty good form today, as he's not having too many issues starting out. Neither are any of these racers. Wyatt back in the mix. He hadn't been here in about a week, and he's doing fairly well there on red lane. Excited to see how much better he gets. We just had to recently replace a rear gear in the shop car, and it seems to be holding together quite a bit better for him. Carson out in the lead right now with 28 laps. Carson coming off there on white lane, giving up the lead to Jackson there on green lane. Really, this race boils down to Rex. If you keep your car on, it's going to be a really, really close race by the end of the 8 heats because everybody's geared the same. But if you can't keep your car on, that's where it kind of spells disastrous because it's not really required for you to run super fast times because everybody runs relatively the same. As a pass on the inside from Jackson, giving the boot to Carson on the outside. YT there getting him put back on in a quick fashion. As we see an outside pass done by Jackson, pretty risky there as Weston could have easily slipped up in there and gave him a little bit of a boot. But Jackson still holds the lead by a couple laps here as we get a red flag rotation. Thanks to Jay Latham for letting me know that you guys couldn't see on your phones. Here's the current lap standings here. I just made another scene here. Hopefully it doesn't cause the computer to have to boot too much, but right now it looks like we're doing pretty good at 33% and 55% respectfully. But Jackson there with 50 laps out of the gate there on green lane. Carson with 48, 47 of Weston, and 44 of Wyatt. All these guys relatively close within a wreck or so of each other. current standings as of July the 6th. Of course, they'll get updated again tonight. This is what we're looking at, Little Rumble-wise. So 4 or 5 races out for Jackson. This will be his 5th and final race. Then we got Carson there with 3 of 5 and Weston with 3 of 5. There in 4th place, we got 1 of 5 and 1 of 5 of Dalton and Wyatt Hambry. So exciting to see how much further these guys are going to push to see who's going to take home the victory. But right now, Jackson's got a little bit of a comfort zone here, at least for the next couple races till guys catch up. Also, in the Rookie Rumble, we got some of the same guys running in that. About 1 minute and 44 seconds, and I'll be right back with you.
Hurry, Wyatt.
All right, about 25 seconds left to go before we go back green race, and we can see the racers there getting lined up. Wyatt come in here, got himself a nice old Yoo-hoo to drink. Seems to be our Little Rumbler's favorite drink. All right, racers, watch your lights.
I'm terrified.
Of course, for all those wondering here, we are still open for the Little Rumble. If you wanted to come on and join in, that'll be open till the last week of July. And then that's it, because we got to have at least 5 races to see whether or not a person's good or bad. And we average them out there for 5 races. But up until that point, you can come on in here, $10 to enter, and you just need a GRC car. And once you get in, your points will be added. You get a race for free every Sunday at 3 o'clock. And those points get added up. First place, of course, getting the big check there on the wall. Let's see if I can draw on it. I don't know if I can or not. Nope, won't let me. Might be able to lock this down and then might be able. Oh, won't let me. All right. Well, nonetheless, it's right there above Paul Woosley's head there in the far right. You can see it there right below, or in between the 2 TVs there. That's the big check these boys are going to be hoisting up if they win first place. Second place is going to get a little go-kart chassis. We don't actually run it here, but it is a car that you could run here, just not in a race. And it's got like Mario on it and stuff like that, or Wario, that someone painted up. Jay Latham, actually. So, excited for the kids. First and second going to bring something home for sure. The rest of the guys, well, they got a race all summer long for free and get their skills built up. In the Rookie Rumble, though, on the other hand, it's the same principle. It'll be open until the last week of July. It costs $8 to enter that race, but first, second, and third get 6 months free track time, and first place is going to bring home also a car and that big old check. So we like to do the big checks here as trophies instead of big old trophies. I think people can clear out the room for a spot on their wall to hang a trophy or hang a big check, but putting big old trophies in your room, I know when me and my brother was little, you kind of run out of room putting trophies place. You end up having to put them in the attic. So big check's the way to go for sure. We're back green racing here. We can see Jackson out in a substantial lead there, about 8 laps, followed by Carson there with 94, Weston with 90, and Wyatt with 90. Weston and Wyatt both there neck and neck with each other there off of white lane and green. And so we get a green or a red flag rotation and another one down. See some of the results here. So Jackson here with 52.5 laps on average, followed by Carson with 48.5, 46.5 for Weston, and Wyatt 46 laps As we see Wyatt here running some of the upper lanes already right out of the gate, he's going to start getting some more laps here. Only 2 laps down from Jackson there on green lane, just to show you how far he's come just in a couple races here. Good to see him battling it out with these guys. Hopefully by the end of the series, these guys will be neck and neck. I know Jackson, he's kind of nervous because he's seeing how well the rest of the guys are starting to catch up with him as these races go on, and they still have quite a few races left to go. This will be Jackson's last race. From here on out, if Jackson races, he'll just be replacing races that he done less in. Can't do that, and his laps will stay the same. Total laps though right now 105, 97, and 93. I'll take you over here to scene 2. Lanes Raceway has a July pinball tournament, and I'll tell you what, it is stiff competition here, folks. Right out of the gate here, we got some people in 100 million range, 230 million there on Iron Maiden for Big Daddy 3. Godzilla there, 198 million, and we've just been doing this tournament since the second. So some big scores out there. I think the scores are going to get bigger. I think last month on Godzilla, they got up to like 500 million. So that just goes to show you how hard these guys push against each other. We've got quite a few new people entering their hat in the ring, trying to battle it out. But yeah, it just goes to show you about a minute and 10 seconds, maybe in the next lane iteration, I guess, or break on the red flag rotation. I'll show you guys some of this guy on YouTube. He does some quite a good amount of pinball reviews. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied today. Hearing a lot of noise coming from outside the shop, and it's just kind of rattling my brain a little for some reason. I guess I'm just getting tired. 41 seconds, and we'll be right back with you. All right, folks, we're back. Jordan, I'll be right with you, man. Give me about a minute or so. Jordan, also known as Jordania Esquire, you've seen him here in a couple of the series races before. We're back green racing here. He's wanting to do some BR. Speaking of BR, we got a BR set up here where we have some competitions there. You can see it in the upper left-hand portion of your screen up there by Robert and Clay. Jordan's wanting to get up there, and he's wanting to try to get his time in there with the mix of everybody else. Probably try to get him slotted in after a little rumble. Of course, it takes up my time. My wife, her time gets taken up out there track marshaling, as it's just me and her running the show. So anyways, Jordan's going to patiently wait. You can see him up there in the upper left-hand portion of your screen. But he's been practicing pretty hard. Come in here the other day, practicing a little bit on the dirt, which that's what our competition's about, 10 laps to do the best that you can do. And he paid $10 and did some practicing the other day. So, anywho, he's going to give it a shot after the little rumble takes place. Jackson out there in the lead still with 135 laps. He's just running around, doing everything he can so far. And Carson there with 127 laps total in second place, followed by Wyatt with 122. So Wyatt and Weston kind of having a little bit of a battle here. Carson somewhere in no man's land, also Jackson too. But it's almost like everybody's kind of getting a little bit on easy street going on here, as everybody's keeping their cars on quite well. We can see here Jackson really pushing quite hard down low. Like Paul Woosley brought in some nuts and bolts or something. I think he has canisters, though. They're usually tire canisters. Let's see what he's got here.
Hey, again. Is that better?
There's also some bolts and washers there. Bolts for chassis. Those Salvador chassis, of course, they only hold about 3. You need something, Jordan? 1 second, folks. So I don't know what exactly is going on here. Looks like another red flag rotation. I'm going to leave you guys here with a little bit of pinball info. And maybe
Welcome, my name is Abraham, and here I'm gonna explain to you pinball skills in depth.
Maybe a micro flip, that looks pretty good.
Used to keep the ball under control. In combination with other techniques, the full potential of microflips can be achieved, which I will explain to you now. Flick pass. If a rolling ball is too slow for a ski pass, you can use a microflip to pass the ball to the other side. When the ball comes down the in-lane, you can also take away its momentum by hitting it with the base of the flipper and set up a more precise pass. Stopping the ball. If you don't want to transfer the rolling ball, you can also stop it with the help of a microflip. It's done like a flick pass, just earlier. This is especially useful during multi-ball, because you can cradle up and think about your next shot. Be aware of the ball jumping back to the in-lane, because making contact with the metal causes the ball to accelerate towards the middle. Setting up your backflips. Microflipping a cradled ball can set up backflips which can hit targets from an extreme angle. This wouldn't be possible with common backhanded shots from a cradle. You can practice your microflip skills by starting from a position where the ball is trapped. Combine all 3 techniques with the goal to regain ball control. Those techniques are mostly affected by game steepness, flipper angle and flipper rubbers. Good luck! Please leave a comment if you have any further questions or requests. If you wish to support this project, you can do so in the description down below.
Alright folks, hope you enjoyed that from Abe Flips. We got 3 seconds left to go and we're going to be back racing. I talked to Jackson earlier today, Action Jackson himself. He said, yeah, the sound wasn't coming through. Of course, I said, yeah, I know. I don't know how to get the sound to come through on those web pages, but thank goodness they got closed caption so you can read that and maybe better understand. Or here's a better one. Just go to Abe Flips, give him a like, subscribe to his channel, and get good at pinball, because that guy knows what he's talking about for sure. And it's being a smaller channel, I know how much it means to get a few likes to get things going and get people to watch you, because we're quite a bit substantially smaller channel than he is. So nonetheless, go out there and check him out. He puts a lot of work in those videos, do all those arrows and stuff like that, show you exactly how to hit that. And that kind of dedication, in my opinion, needs to be rewarded. Jackson out in the lead, 182 laps. He's far substantially in front of most people here. Hardly anybody's going to be able to touch him. Now, granted, he's running all of his his heats down low, and people are going to be able to catch up a little bit. But the way he's running, he's hardly coming off. We're hearing some squealing of the gears here from somebody's car. I don't know whose car. I think it might be Weston's car that we're hearing that squeal from, and the red-looking car there on the green. A little bit of a squeal happening. Don't know how much longer that gear is going to last, but that thing definitely needs to be checked out. 48 seconds left to go, and we get a track call as we see my wife there messing with something.
why I'm making that noise. You can't sit, get your hands when they're about to put their hands on it. Don't. Because their hands are off. Got it? Because you're in the way. You got to stand on the car and keep trying to full throttle it and strip the gear.
That's what I did my first time.
Now, first time you got a car, you jump straight. Hey, come on. Get back on the track.
All right, so I had to put the wrench to Wyatt's car. Of course, my wife believes it could be his car making that noise. It sounds like Weston's to me, but I could be wrong. But out of all the guys out there, Wyatt is the only one still running a brass pinion, and brass pinions tend to be a little bit louder. So plus, that car is a rental car. It's been put through the ringer for sure since we've been opened. It's had quite a few people rent that car, but nonetheless, we do put new parts in it. As it sounds like that car is about to give it up. I hate that for Wyatt, but that's the only rental car we have currently. And I just don't think it's going to make it. It's time for a complete rebuild and tear down. So we might be seeing Wyatt getting pushed out of this race, but thank God he didn't have to pay to get in it. And we'll have to try to work on that car in the meantime.
Hey, gear's pushing, bro. Gear's pushing.
So as you guys can tell, we're down a little bit here. Red flag condition. 50 seconds left to go. Of course, Randy Kirtley's working on Wyatt's car there. We just put a fresh gear on it, but for some reason or another, it stripped out another gear. So Randy Kirtley, being the pro of the track for sure, he's going to get that underway and get that fixed for Wyatt, and then we'll go back green racing.
You bad, kid. You bad.
I know I did that.
Not my first time. Not so great, though. No, I wouldn't want all of them separate, but some people. Hey, we're my reputation.
Good.
All right, looks like we got our racers back under control here. Evidently we had a stripped pinion for Wyatt there, so Randy Kirtley was able to get one put back on there for him. Uh-oh, might have done something here. All right, racers, watch your lights. So a little bit of a delay, but nothing too big. In the meantime, I seen Jackson and Carson. They were up in here, and Jackson's worried he's going to lose. Because I asked him, I said, he's like, I'm going back up to the high side of the track. I think I'm going to end up losing. I said, well, with an attitude like that, you will. And so far, that attitude is paying off as we see him coming out of the track there. Biggest key here, trying to keep one eye on your car and one eye on the car in front of you there. We see Wyatt there coming off on black lane. A little zealous through Dead Man's Corner there, not braking is the problem. Randy Kirtley, of course, said that the pinion was completely shot. We just put a brand new one on there, but I guess it got mound up in wrecks. So nonetheless, that's what you pay for when you rent a car. We got her back out there running good now. So pinions, they're somewhere around $5. Crown gears, they're somewhere around $7 if you get a good one. About $5 if you get a cheap one. So for all those wondering when you rent a car, that's why it costs $10 to rent cars, because you can tear up quite a few things, and we got to get her back out there running. And more times than not, especially in the FCR, those things happen, especially when you're a rookie and you're just learning how to drive. Usually you get walled into the wall, similar to what just took place there by Dana. You can bust bushings, you can bend the axles, all kinds of stuff. Motors, tear them up, bust the magnets out of them. There's a lot that can go wrong on a slot car. It can get expensive really quick. So we just baseline it $10, and that makes it where that they can get in a race and not have to buy a car right away. But anyways, usually we'll let the guys have a stab at it for free the first time, especially when they're just wanting to get their feet wet. But they come the second time. You know, we are here as a hobby shop trying to sell cars, so we do run the rental costs at that point. We don't let very, very newcomers like Jackson or any of these guys immediately step up into the 4-inch class until we know that they can run the track, because tracks can take damage too. But I will say this, out of these 4 that I'm seeing here right now, what we got going on here? I did that. Sorry about that. But out of these 4 that we got here, Jackson, Carson, Weston, and Wyatt, all of these guys are proficient enough that they could run a 4-inch car. They don't come out a whole lot. When they do, they're barely coming out instead of slamming the wall. So a lot of the times it just matters about where you get hit. And I think Wyatt's just took a couple shots there in the back today is why he's had some issues there with some of the guys not breaking up whenever he comes out of the slot. This happens, but his average is right there with him. 43.8, 45.6, 49, and 55.4 on average. Jackson, of course, with the most experience, followed by Carson and Weston and Wyatt. So it's along that gradient scale for these guys, and I think by the end of this race, and they can race anything they want and probably be pretty proficient in it. Speaking of what they're racing right now, we can kind of see a similar cause here. Jackson, Carson, Weston, Dalton, and Wyatt. So we can see they're kind of lining up there with their skill level, as you can see here on our current standing. But all this stuff changes. The more the guys come in and practice, the more the guys want to learn. Of course, I sit out there with them, and I try to teach them the best lines that they can possibly get and hold their car in place and make sure their stuff's straight and stuff like that. And for the most part, they listen quite well as youngsters. Sometimes they let stuff go the other way and one ear and out the other. But that's kids in general, so you just got to bear with them and hope that they figure it out before they step up into an intermediate or pro series class. Because the worst thing that you really want is to come off such a great win of, let's say, winning a rookie series and then get into the intermediate and be finishing in last. But a lot of times in racing, that's how it goes. And that's pretty much any kind of racing if you think about it. Like you could go to the cruiser class and then try to step up to like a street stock and be in dead last, but you just left the cruiser class where you're winning constant. That's just like a dirt racing metaphor, I guess you would say, or in some cases asphalt too. So, but nonetheless, these guys are doing great. I think 33 seconds left to go before we go back green. We're just going to kind of just go back over here so we can keep an eye on these kiddos. It looks like they're about ready to go. Racers, are you ready? No. And we got no, the racers are not ready. So right now we got Weston, Carson, and Jackson on the field. Looks like Wyatt's car is still having some issues there. See Dana Durham get his car put back on yellow. All right, racers, watch your lights. Here we go, just in the nick of time here for them to get back under racing. So evidently our rental car is about ready to be retired. It looks like just wore out bushings and everything else. So what we usually do is we'll take another chassis or car from the back and maybe get some older bushings and stuff and put in it and get it up and going just to keep it to where it'll work. Because the end goal is to not run a rental every time you come here, but the end goal is, of course, to have your own vehicle that you can take pride in. And I'll tell you what, Jackson has done so. Every time he comes in here, he's got his body clean and polished up. And I can say that for all these guys. They really do take pride in their cars. They want to change the ratios up in the back of their cars and get them nice and smoothed out. And I remember when I was a kid, I took pride in my car too. Of course, I had to work quite hard for my car. And I heard Wyatt earlier come in and say that he's going to be working for his car, so we'll get him situated until then. But I like that. I love to hear that from kids whenever they got to work for the stuff that they want. It makes you take pride in those cars. It makes you take better care of them than just outright getting it handed to you. Jackson, I think he had to do about 2 or so days worth of hard labor with my uncle there, and ended up getting sunburned, all kinds of other stuff. But look at him now. He takes care of his car. He keeps it clean. And that's just from my experience of growing up. I do know that when you have to pay for it, it means a little something different than just getting handed to you. Almost just like, well, I can do with it or without it. But I'm glad to see that those values have been instilled in these kids, that they can work hard for what they get. And that kind of translates over to the place that they finish. You know, if they want to get first place, they got to work hard to do it. And I think Jackson, he said he's going out there, he's helping the kids learn. He's trying to show them where he's letting off, and he's trying to teach them too. That's admirable for Jackson. And then also it helps the kids out quite a bit too. And as we can see here, Jackson has put in quite a bit of work here, being in first place here, 325 total laps. He's quite a bit ahead of everybody else, but him and Carson are somewhat close there, 295. But his average laps, 54.2, 49.2, 45.8, 44.8 of Wyatt. And this is just the difference, literally, ladies and gentlemen, of how much experience each one of these racers have on this track. So Carson's got about a day, maybe 2 days less than Jackson, and Weston has about 3 or 4 days less than Jackson. Wyatt, of course, he's got probably a week or so less than Jackson. So, you know, these numbers just show me that how really close these guys are in comparison with each other, even though they're only just a couple weeks difference in learning the track. That's the hardest part about it, is learning the track and keeping your constitution together and keeping your car on. But nonetheless, I think these guys are doing great. I'm going to take you back over here to some more little pinball.
Welcome, my name is Abraham, and here I'm gonna explain to you pinball skills in depth. Aiming and shooting, the basics.
All of these subscriptions can really add up. So why not get YouTube Premium? It's like having...
Nudging Part 2. Nudging in detail. The nudging direction depends on how you want to direct the ball's rebound. You can increase its natural rebound by pumping an obstacle on the playfield against the ball. The short and hard hit required here doesn't affect the tilt bob too much, but has a great impact on the ball's rebound. However, sometimes it's not enough to just use short hits because the obstacle is too far away from the ball and you have to cheat a little bit by sliding the machine. Nudging or slapping harder than usual works too, but keep in mind that with all big moves a warning is almost guaranteed. For maximum efficiency, some really good players are even going further by sliding the machine with one hand while hitting it with the other as the ball makes contact with the rebound obstacle. The more experienced you are, the more subtle your nudging should get. Since you only have 2 tilt warnings per ball, you should know exactly when to make use of your valuable chokers. Anyway, you can't save every ball, sometimes you're just unlucky. It's important to understand why you drained and if you could have saved the ball, otherwise you can't learn from your mistakes. Nudge pass. This is a very powerful technique which helps you extending the flipper's reach by nudging or sliding the machine towards the ball. Anticipate its path and try to use as little force as possible. The better your ball prediction gets, the less you have to move the machine. Slow orbit feeds. Slow returning balls coming from an orbit are dangerous. If the ball makes contact with the slingshot...
Alright, we are back. 4 lights dropping, and here they go. Right out of the gate there, Jackson taking his first steps there, but Carson close behind him at 298. Weston and Wyatt both having the race of the day here, as we can see Weston there on black lane. Dana having a lot of trouble there getting the car put back on orange. That would be Wyatt's car as he takes several laps lost there, about 4 laps it cost him. 7 round robin heat of 8, a minute and 34 seconds left to go. We get the car of Carson coming off twice in a row, 2 laps in a row there on yellow. Dana trying to get his car put back on the best that he can. We get a track call there by my wife. What a busy day I got tomorrow. This is going to be very punishing for me. I'm not having quite the best day, so forgive me if I'm not as chipper as I usually am. Like we're having yet another issue yet again with somebody's car. Let's see. Jackson's up there on white, Carson on yellow, and Weston on black. So it looks like Wyatt's car having some issues yet again. We'll be right back with you as soon as I find out what's going on here. right, folks, they kind of jumped the gun on me. I didn't even know they was back racing. But they are back racing, and it's been an eventful little race here. Looks like Jackson's still holding off the lead by 30 laps here. Weston and Wyatt still right there neck and neck with each other, just within a couple laps of each other. We're 297 to 304. And some indigestion. Had a little bit of greasy pizza yesterday, and I'll tell you what, I got some indigestion rolling today. Tried to take a nap earlier. Tried to take a nap when I got home yesterday. It gave me a big old headache. But I've just not been able to get out from underneath it. It's been painful. I guess that just comes with age. I should have kept my beard. Maybe I wouldn't have these problems. So I'd just man up a little. Dana there, he's getting that car put back on. That was Weston's car coming off on black lane. That's where most of these kids, they struggle, is they're down on the black lane. Of course, they're still trying to get the rhythm and stuff. Black lane being one of the fastest lanes on this track, though. If you get that rhythm down on black lane, all the rest of them should follow there in Dead Man's Corner. They kind of triangulate out a little bit there. As we see Carson's car coming off there on yellow. And we get another red flag rotation. 30 laps separates Jackson from Carson. And another 30 or so laps separates Weston from Carson. But Weston and Wyatt right there neck and neck. It's going to be interesting to see this final heat out of Weston and Wyatt. Which one's going to bring home the victory here? We see that Weston does have the better advantage here on yellow. But like I said, all these kids having trouble wrecking their cars down low. So Wyatt might actually be able to take the advantage here and maybe take over third place this next lap or this next race. It just depends on whose constitution's higher. We are going to take you to the current standings here for the final heat. We'll be right back with you just as soon as they get ready. Call a high five right there. That's what you want to see. These guys giving each other high fives. I guess that means that they're comrades. I don't know. Nonetheless, they could be getting ready to have some sort of animalistic fight here in the final round robin rounds. I don't know what Mel Machismo we're seeing here. Nonetheless, Jackson and Carson there giving each other high five. 22 seconds left to go. We're going back green. We'll see that old Weston's car getting put there on yellow. Spin a little bit in the front there. His front wheels are kind of dragging the ground a little bit. We got him then back up here in the shop. It looks like they're ready to go. All right, racers, watch your lights. And here we are, the final heat. Going to kind of focus in a little bit on the yellow and white lanes here. As we see, they are the ones running for the money. Mainly focusing there on the white to see if he can maybe catch Weston. But it looks like he comes to a complete stop there in Dead Man's Corner. And we can see that Weston's car is able to take out in front of him there. As long as Weston doesn't wreck, I don't think that we're going to be able to see Wyatt be able to make up that lead. As we see Jackson coming to pass him there on the outside. Dangerous maneuver, but he does it. And he makes it look easy, as Jackson has been poising his time here for quite some time here at Lanes Raceway, getting those perfect passing point and opportunities here on the trioval track. Nonetheless, we see the white car now fixing to get passed up here by the yellow lane of Weston, and I think it's all but our current positioning here. Jackson in first place, Carson. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, well, that was 2 cars. The wrong car needed to be able to make a change here from 4th to 3rd. So you're looking at probably your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd here. Jackson, first place, Carson, 2nd, Weston, 3rd, and Wyatt Hambrook in 4th. 53 seconds left to go. There's not enough time there for anyone to gain that, even if there was an engine explosion. They're so far spread apart from each other this race. Weston and Wyatt had themselves quite a good close battle here, though. 350, 343. This last heat not been too favorable there for Wyatt. He's had some trouble here all race long with the gears, and he's been able to limp that car on through, but it's just a tough way of going when people get you hit in the back end and cause a lot of stuff to loosen up and then gears go out. But that's racing. You just got to come in the next time and hope it gets better. Each one of these guys racing with heart for sure. I guess Jackson was wrong. He said he was going to get last. It looks like he's going to get first this time. 3 seconds left to go. And that's 422 laps for Jackson. Followed by Carson with 397 and 366 of Weston. And Wyatt there with 358 to round it up. Wyatt's going to get some pictures made. All right, Jackson, Carson, and Weston, if you would, please stand in front of the podium for your pictures. Get their pictures made. This is Donovan Kirtley here at Lane's Raceway. Tune back in with us at 5:30 when we start our main event here, the LMP Thunder Series race. And God bless you.